Alright, hello everyone. Ciao Kunti. How are you guys doing so far? All good? So let me start by asking, what are some of your fondest memories from childhood? Think about it for a second. For many, I guess it would be the moments of wonder, moments when we were left in awe, times where the world around us felt magical. All the smallest little things which would spark our imagination. And for me, one of those childhood memories was watching fireflies light up the night sky. And growing up in Malaysia, I remember calling my siblings together whenever we would spot this first flicker of light in the evening. I'd go like, Siglo, Siglo, when the party? We would shout, which means, hurry up, faster, faster, come and see as we rush to the garden to watch these fireflies glow in action. It was as if nature was putting on a light show, and we just couldn't get enough of it. I also remember being mesmerized by this tiny flickering of light dancing through the air. It was just beautiful. And be it our home garden or even at the park or the field during the late evening or night walks with our parents. Those were magical moments. It definitely felt like these little creatures were carrying some secrets of the universe, glowing in harmony with nature around them, or with the world around them. And that fascination with fireflies never left him. It only grew stronger and deeper further, especially after I left high school. I had this opportunity to go on a boat ride to the mangroves to watch these fireflies up close. Sitting in the darkness, surrounded by hundreds, if not thousands of these little fireflies, lighting up with trees like this natural flag lights. It was beautiful. At the moment, I realized there must be something beyond this spectacle, more than just the beauty of it, which I couldn't quite make sense of it at that time. And years later, when I went for another trip, going on a snorkeling trip at night, I encountered something which brought me back to this childhood light. By the way, we haven't gone for snorkeling as such yet night. I'd highly recommend you do so. One of the best things that you can do. So go snorkeling at night. And that's when I encountered this childhood fascination of mine, and brought right back to me this glow, this natural fiery lights. But this time, it was in the form of bioluminescent bacteria or microbes, which produce light, or they glow in the dark through a chemical reaction using luciferase as an enzyme, or this enzyme called luciferase. With every movement of our hand, this tiny sparks of light trailed. It was again beautiful. We were all excited and we just couldn't help but to splash more of the water and see this glow. I was definitely ecstatic. And now I realized that nature, from the smallest fireflies to this tiniest little microbe, they hold these incredible mechanisms that we are only slowly beginning to harness for practical applications. But what if we could do so much more? What if the natural brilliance of these fireflies and these bioluminescent microbes can be harnessed for something bigger, for something huge, like providing energy in the most extreme or harshest environments, as extreme as in space, where traditional energy systems would fail? This question stayed with me for some time and eventually inspired my work, this conceptual work on smites, or called smites. Yes, smites. But before I get into that, now, as we look forward to more of space exploration and the possibility of human habitats in space, be it on the moon or in Mars, one of the major challenges, or one of the greatest challenges, would still be in terms of energy. How do we generate long-term, reliable, sustainable energy in these places which are hostile and unpredictable? The moon, for instance, has long periods of darkness. Lunar nights, nighttime over the moon, lasts for about 14 Earthlings. And the temperatures can drop up to minus 173 degrees Celsius. And relying only on solar energy would not be sufficient for most of the part. And also traditional energy systems like fossil fuels, which are already problematic here, with climate change or global warming, and also solar panels, lithium-ion batteries, they all rely on resources which are not readily available in space. And also, if we were to replicate the sort of same mistakes that have already done here on Earth, we're just going to end up creating habitats which are not sustainable. So how do we make sure future habitats in space or here on Earth are powered sustainably? And to understand how we might be able to solve this or address this, we need to first look at how a general power system would work or would operate. So many power systems, or a general one, be it in Earth or space, they have or would consist of three major components: the generation unit, the storage unit, and the transmission unit. The generation unit is where the electricity is produced. The transmission unit is how the electricity is transmitted from where it's produced to where it's needed for consumption or for storage. And the storage unit is where the excess energy is stored. And now, imagine a power system which makes use best of nature and technology to address these three components in a sustainable way. So that's essentially what SMILES is all about. So now, SMILES is actually short for Solar Microbial Intelligent Lunar Energy System. It's an idea or project that I worked on for the Moon Station 2050 Global Innovation Competition, which culminated during the International Moon Day celebration last year, back in 2024 in Harbin, China. So basically, again, SMILES is an innovative idea, a conceptual one, combining advanced photovoltaic technologies with not one, but 4 different types of microbes. Of course, the bioluminescent microbe. Then we also got the biofluorescent bacteria, hydrogen oxidizing bacteria, and the cable bacteria, all to address the future energy needs of a lunar base. So now I'll bring us through this energy system of SMILES based on the 3 major components that I've mentioned earlier. So like any other power grid or power system here on Earth, SMILES also has 3 components: generation, storage, and transmission, and could be operated through a smart grid application, which should dynamically adjust the energy needs as when and where needed, but with this added power of nature included. So for the generation unit, there will be 2 revolutionary power plants. The first one is what I would call this bioluminescent glow power plant. And the second one is the supercharged solar power plant. So the first one, in the first generating energy generator component, the bioluminescent glow power plant, that's where we generate or harness this glow from these microbes, where they can sort of like act like natural LEDs, producing light, which can then be converted into electricity. This would make sure, despite the long lunar nights, there's a steady supply of energy. And moving to the second power plant, the supercharged solar power plant, this is where we bring in the biofluorescent microbes, integrating them into the solar panels to sort of like give the solar panels an added boost. So there's a study which has shown that the solar cell efficiency can be enhanced by over 200% with this biofluorescent microbes. So this just optimizes the solar sunlight capture by the solar panels. So just making sure it's more effective when the sun is around. And as for the storage unit, now moving on to the second component, the storage unit, apart from solar system, solar approaches, we would also have the hydrogen oxidizing bacteria in smiles. And thanks to Martina here for introducing us to this creature during our class of microbial metabolism and behavior as part of the Masters in Biology of Action and Items program. So hydrogen oxidizing bacteria, or how my other friend Rita would describe it as hydrogen eating bacteria. They're actually in the crowd, so shout out to them. Thank you for the inspiration. So these hydrogen oxidizing bacteria, together with the solar system, would sort of like provide a dual energy. Energy will be stored in form of hydrogen and bacterial biomass. So at the end of the day, you have this dual storage system, so ensuring further energy security. And the third component, transmission, is where we try and optimize and engineer a sort of like living bundle of wires using cable bacteria integrated into carbon nanotube composites. So you can think of it as like this power lines, the cable wires that we see, but with this cable bacteria integrated into this carbon nanotube composites. Again, to ensure effective transmission of energy from one place to another across the lunar base. But having said all that, reality check. Microbial energy systems, at the moment, they produce much lower energy density compared to the traditional energy systems. And of course, some of the approaches in terms of like integrating cable bacteria into carbon nanotube composites are still very much experimental in phase, and a lot of other approaches have not been proven to be scaled up. They're still a work in progress. And also, there are questions in terms of the ethical considerations, the safety concerns, especially with regards to using biological organisms in extraterrestrial stasis. But despite all that, these are still exciting areas, benches for us to look into in terms of further optimization, further testing and research to ensure a future which is sustainable, especially in extraterrestrial spaces. But what does that all mean for us here on Earth? SMARTS isn't conceptualized or conceived to address the energy needs for a lunar base in the future. But its implications or its impacts can potentially reach home. Remote communities here on Earth, especially the ones where energy infrastructure is limited, can benefit from this sort of similar microbial energy systems. What we learn in space about sustainability and resilience can transform how we live here. And in many ways, space research provides us with the tools to tackle some of the greatest challenges we have here on Earth. And SMARTS is also a silent tribute to those who have given everything to protect Mother Nature, because it's not always about tools and technologies. Across the world, many Earth defenders have stood up for rivers, forests, and ecosystems, often paying a high price, and some even with dialogues. And their determination and courage should remind us that sustainability is not only a scientific pursuit, but deeply a human one. And SMARTS, to a certain extent, tries to continue the vision to create systems which work in harmony with nature and not against it. But it's not only about scientists and engineers, it's about all of us. Whether you're a student, a policymaker, designer, or anyone who simply cares about getting fresh air to breathe or drinking clean water, all of you have a role to play. Support sustainable MP research. Advocate for tangible, effective, eco-friendly policies and not just the greenwashing ones. Or simply go to your balcony or to your backyard and explore the wonders of the world. I often think back at those times in Malaysia, watching Fireflies, lighting up the night sky. What started as this simple childhood fascination has turned into this mission to sort of harness this natural brilliance of nature to make this sustainable energy system. And be it here on Earth or in space, the answers are all around us, often hidden in the smallest organisms waiting to be discovered. And the glow which I was mesmerized by during my childhood, they weren't just moments of wonder, they were glimpses into the future where technology and nature can work together to light the way forward with bright destinies. Thank you.